Hello, dreamers, and welcome to Dreaming Isle. I'm here to guide you into a calm and magical place tonight. Before we begin, take a moment to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps bring more dreamers to our little corner of the stars. And if you'd like, share in the comments, what's the world outside your window like right now? Now, find your cozy spot. Let go of the day, and let the story begin. I was born beneath a blood-red moon, or so the crones whispered, spitting into the hearth to ward off the omen. My father called me a curse from the day I first cried, and my mother wept more than she sang. Yet I grew among black banners and iron gates, heir to a house of wolves. It ended in fire. I remember the taste of smoke on my tongue, the roar of traitors at the gate. Our own sworn knights sold us for silver, leaving the keep to burn. I escaped through the crypt, clutching nothing but a dagger, hearing my mother's screams snuffed out by steel. My father died on his throne, too proud to flee. Years have passed. I am no longer the starving wretch who hid in ruined villages, learning to steal bread and poison wine. I have a new name whispered in fear along the borderlands. Sorcerers taught me old, forbidden words in exchange for my blood. I carved runes into my flesh so the dead would heed me. I sold my soul, piece by piece, for knowledge that makes sane men tremble. Tonight I return. The old keep stands in ruin, yet the usurper holds court in the rebuilt hall, feasting on stolen lands. I watch the torches glow from the hilltop where the ancient graves lie split and empty. My allies are the restless spirits. My allies are the memories of those who died for my father's pride. My revenge will not be swift. It will be a season of ruin. I want them to see me in every shadow, to hear my voice in their dreams. I want them to know the fear my family felt. I press my hand to the cold soil. Power stirs, old and hateful. I whisper the first syllables of the curse I prepared these long years. The wind carries it down to the keep below, unseen, unheard, yet it takes root like a seed of despair. Let them feast tonight. Tomorrow, the dying begins. I descend into the crypt I once fled in terror, the passage so narrow I scrape my shoulders against damp stone. Roots hang like dead fingers from the ceiling. The air reeks of mildew and old bones. My torch flickers, casting sickly light over ancestral coffins shattered in the sack. Skulls grin from the rubble. I drop to my knees before the oldest tomb. The seal is cracked where I split it years ago, my first act of sacrilege. I touch the runes I carved in my blood then, renewing them with fresh crimson from my palm. The magic responds, the air thrumming with power. Shadows gather around me, flickering like caged beasts. Rise, I whisper. Something answers from the dark. Not words, but intent. A hunger that mirrors mine. These are my forebears, unquiet, furious at the theft of their dominion. When I fled, I promised I would return. Now I offer them vengeance. But they do not serve for free. The pact must be fed. I slip my arm and let blood drip onto the broken seal. I feel them slide into me, cold as grave soil, whispering secrets. My head reels with images of how I might kill the usurper. Poison his sons. Flay his knights alive. Raise an army from the barrows. They offer me many roads, all end in blood. When I rise, my vision swims with new sigils, new spells that rot the tongue to speak. The torch burns blue, reacting to the presence inside me. I am no longer alone in my own skin. Outside, dawn threatens, but darkness is my ally now. I stagger up the crypt stairs, feeling the weight of centuries press on my soul. The power I sought so long is mine at last, but it is hungry. It wants a feast of death, and I will feed it. By the time I reach the hill overlooking the keep, dawn's first sickly light spills across the land like old milk. The usurper's banner hangs limp in the cold wind. A black wolf on yellow, stolen from my father's hall. I watch through narrowed eyes. Already servants scurry in the courtyard. They prepare for a feast, honoring the day he took my birthright. A day of celebration for them. A day of mourning for me. I press fingers to my temples, the runes burning under my skin. My ancestors' voices hiss in my skull, demanding blood. I see visions of the usurper's face as he drinks from my father's cup, his smug laughter echoing through halls built from my lineage's bones. Rage is a blade I sharpen constantly. I focus my will and whisper a name I learned in the dark. A curse that clings to the soul like tar. Wind gusts, rattling the dry grass. The power gathers in my palm, black as pitch, before dissipating into the breeze. It will find him. It will plant itself in his lungs like a cancer. It won't kill him outright. No, this is art. It will weaken him, breed suspicion among his retainers, make him cough blood at his own feast. A fitting gift from the rightful heir. The dead press around me, eager, almost giddy. They relish his coming terror. I turn and walk away from the ridge. I won't storm the gates like some hero from a child's tale. My war is patient, cruel. He will fall piece by piece. By the time I reach the forest edge, I'm already thinking of his sons, how best to make them suffer. The revenge I seek is not justice. It is annihilation. Night again. The forest is a living cathedral of shadow, branches clawing at the black sky. I sit at a fireless camp, eyes closed, mind extended like a net. The runes on my arms itch and burn, alive with restless power. I reach for the usurper's keep. I see them in fragments. The great hall crowded with revelers, the usurper pale and sweating, coughing into his goblet as fear flickers in his eyes. His wife watches, suspicious. His sons bicker, drunk and oblivious. Perfect. I press harder, pushing the curse deeper. Not content to kill his body, I want to sour his dreams. I whisper old words that taste of ash and bone, words that conjure visions of betrayal, fire, and death. They will dream of me, of my family's corpses rising from the pyre, of my mother's screaming ghost, of the blood they spilled returning to drown them. I feel their terror spike. The usurper wakes, choking, screaming my name though he does not yet know it. His sons whimper in their sleep. Servants mutter of curses, and old blood come to claim vengeance. Good. The forest wind carries their fear back to me, cold and sweet. I open my eyes, and the night seems to shift in approval. This is only the beginning. I will break their minds before I break their bodies. They will turn on each other, suspect witchcraft in every glance, poison in every cup. I will make them do my work for me. After all, revenge is best savored slowly. Morning fog clings to the hollow like the breath of the dead. I rise from damp earth, bone stiff, mind clear with cruel purpose. A rider approaches the keep. A messenger in livery once mine, now tarnished with usurper's colors. I watch from a copse of trees, whispering to the shadows. They gather at my call, slithering around me like loyal hounds. When he passes, I step onto the path. He never sees me. My dagger slides beneath his ribs, quick and sure. He gasps once, blood painting the frost. I whisper in his ear as he dies, "Your lord sends his regards." The shadows swallow the body. I take his satchel, reading the sealed letter by fading moonlight. It's an order for more guards, a sign of his growing fear. Good. I trace a rune on the parchment with bloodied fingers, cursing it to bring disease to the hands that open it. I return it to the corpse, arranging him to look as if he fell from his horse. By dawn, they will find him. By dusk, the sickness will spread. I leave no witnesses, only questions. And fear, always fear. I walk south, where the swamp lies thick and fetid. I have an old friend there, a witch who owes me more than she'd like to admit. She has the herbs I need for the next stage, because one death is never enough. The swamp is a kingdom of rot and fog, its trees twisted like tormented souls. My boots sink into black mud, sucking greedily at each step. Insects drone in clouds, biting exposed skin. The smell is of stagnant water, decay, secrets best left buried. I find her hut at the water's edge, a slumping thing of driftwood and bone charms. Smoke seeps from its chimney, greenish and foul. She knows I'm coming. I knock once. She opens before I can lower my hand. Her eyes are white as blind pearls, yet she sees too much. Back again, she croaks. You stink of the grave. I've embraced my heritage, I say. She cackles and steps aside. Inside, the hut is cluttered with jars of preserved horrors. Snakes, fetuses, herbs that squirm like worms. She gestures to the table, and I lay out silver coin, the last of my old life's wealth. I need poison, I say. Slow, but certain. I want them to suffer. I want them to know fear every time they drink. She runs fingers over the coins. Easy. But payment in silver isn't enough this time. I frown. What else? She smiles, showing blackened teeth. Blood. Your blood. Willingly given. I hesitate. My ancestors scream in my head, but I silence them. I slip my palm and let it drip into her waiting cup. She licks her lips. Good. Sit. We'll brew your nightmare together. As the swamp bubbles and hisses outside, I lean in to learn. I will make this poison perfect. They will remember me as the doom they invited to their own table. The swamp witch hums as she crushes dried belladonna and blackroot in her mortar. I watch every movement, memorizing the rhythm of death. She adds spores from a ghost-capped mushroom, so pale they seem to glow in the glow. Stir, she orders, handing me a carved bone pestle. I obey, turning the mix into a foul paste. My ancestors whisper in my head, urging me to add blood. I heed them, opening my palm again, letting crimson drip into the mortar. The mixture hisses and turns black as ink. She cackles. Your hatred flavors it well. Stronger this way. The witch pulls a twisted glass vial from a shelf, its surface etched with protection sigils. She scrapes the black paste inside. It sizzles once and then lies still, dark and perfect. One drop kills. Half a drop sickens for weeks. Slow, subtle. Blame will fall on the cook or the well. They'll suspect everyone. I take the vial carefully. The shadows in the hut shudder in approval. She leans close, breath rancid. We're even now. Don't return. I meet her white eyes. I won't need to. Outside, the swamp seems to part for me, the mud firmer underfoot as if it knows I am done here. The mist closes behind me like a curtain, sealing away the witch and her debts. By the time I reach dry land, the vial is warm in my pocket, as if alive. My plan takes clearer shape with every step. No siege. No duel. No mercy. I will turn his own table into his pyre. I will feed them death as they once fed me grief. The usurper will dine with his sons, and they will all drink damnation. I leave the swamp behind, entering lands where suspicion has not yet spread. A border village, mud brick houses, smoke curling from thatched roofs. Peasants eye me warily as I ride in on a stolen horse, the trappings of a minor merchant. I trade silver for new clothes, coarse but clean. I buy cheap wine and oilskins to hide the vial among innocuous wares. The innkeeper asks no questions as I rent a room. That night I study my reflection in the cracked mirror. Gone is the starving orphan, the haunted vagabond. Even the sorcerer's marks hide beneath sleeves. What remains is careful, calculating. A merchant with exotic goods and silver to spend is always welcome. I memorize the accent of the northern traders, learn the price of spices and fabrics, rehearse a backstory of failed ventures and unlucky caravans. Lies taste like truth on my tongue. In the morning I leave, waving cheerily to the guards at the gate. They wave back. No one sees the darkness roiling behind my smile. My path leads straight to the keep. They will welcome me. After all, gold has no master but itself. The keep rises from the hills like a tumor of stone. Its walls are freshly repaired but lack the old grandeur. Flags bearing my stolen sigil hang limp in the wind. I approach in daylight, cart rattling behind me. Two guards step forward, bored but wary. Halt. State your business. I adopt the weary merchant's smile. Trader from the north. I heard there's coin to be made feeding your garrison. Spices, dried meats, southern wine. All legal, of course. They glance at each other. The usurper's paranoia has spread. I see it in their eyes, the way they clutch spears tighter. But silver wins loyalty. I jingle a purse. One guard snatches it, biting the coins. He nods, waving me through. Inside, the courtyard bustles with activity. Blacksmiths hammer weapons. Servants scuttle with baskets. I see the usurper's son sparring, heedless of the tension around them. I bow low as the steward approaches, feigning respect. He sniffs, but his gaze lingers on my goods. Your timing is fortunate, he says. The Lord is hosting allies next week. We need supplies. I hide my grin. I live to serve. We negotiate quickly. He marks me as safe, greedy, pliable, no threat. Perfect. At night, in my quarters, I unstopper the vial and dip a needle's tip. I whisper curses into it. My ancestors shiver with delight. Soon, the kitchens will have new spices, and my vengeance will be served. The keep's kitchens are a world unto themselves. Heat, smoke, shouting. Cooks swear as they chop and boil. Rats scuttle over spilled flour. I arrive early, the dutiful merchant, crates on my back. The steward has given me a writ, so they don't question my presence. I unpack dried herbs and rare peppers. I make a show of measuring weights, praising their kitchen's quality. They puff with pride. Fools. I offer samples. I demonstrate recipes. A hint of southern spice, I say. The cook is delighted, unaware of the black glisten where my needle delivered its payload. Just enough to sicken. Enough to terrify. I know the usurper's schedule. The grand feast for allies is 3 days away. Time enough for the poison to take hold, to sow dread, to weaken them all. As I leave the kitchen, I mark the walls with subtle sigils, whispering power into them. They will amplify fear, twist dreams, breed discord. The halls echo with ghosts only I can hear, urging me onward. My ancestors' laughter follows me to my chambers. I sleep with a smile on my lips, dreaming of his coughing blood onto the feast table, of his sons weeping in confusion and terror. Revenge is not just death. It is despair. It is the certainty that your doom was crafted by someone who knows you better than you know yourself. And I know him well. 3 days pass. I stay in my rented chamber, listening to the keep breathe. The walls are thin, gossip seeping through like water through cracks. By dawn of the feast day, the whispers begin. The steward's voice cracks with panic. The cook can't stand. Vomiting all night. A chamberlain's wife collapses at prayer, racked with fever. Guards argue about spoiled food, curse southern spices, blame each other for bad storage. The usurper's sons scream at servants to fix it. One slaps a maid so hard she loses a tooth. I watch from shadows, silent. No one suspects the quiet merchant. I wander the yard offering condolences, shaking my head at the tragedy. They barely see me. By evening, the feast is a wreck. Half the food is thrown out in terror. The usurper sits at his head table pale and trembling. He drinks wine but barely eats. I see it in his eyes. He feels hunted. That night, thunder cracks above the keep. Rain lashes the battlements. I walk the corridors in the chaos, unseen. My fingers trace the sigils I left behind, feeding them new curses. I hear the usurper shouting at his steward. Find who did this. Find them. He suspects betrayal among his own. My ancestors purr with approval. I slip back to my room. My heart beats steady and cold. This is the revenge I crave. Not the easy death of a dagger in the dark, but the slow ruin of a man who thought himself safe. I will strip him of loyalty, certainty, hope. Then I will kill him. Rain continues for days. Mud fills the keep's courtyard. Supplies spoil. Servants flee or vanish. The cook dies, black bile on his lips. The usurper calls for priests. They chant, sprinkle salt, burn incense that makes the halls stink of pine and fear. None of it helps. I watch him from a gallery as he staggers to his throne. His face is gaunt, eyes hollow. He coughs into a kerchief stained red. He knows something hunts him. I make sure of it. Each night, I walk the halls, leaving marks only I can see. The walls sweat blood in candlelight. Rats burst into flame without fire. Mirrors show dead faces. Servants whisper of a haunting. The usurper bellows for witch hunters. They arrive in black cloaks, muttering prayers. They question everyone. They find nothing. I am just a merchant. One morning, he orders a man hanged. An old scribe accused of heresy. The courtyard fills with screams as he kicks and jerks on the rope. His death means nothing. The curse remains. The usurper grows more desperate. I watch from the shadows, satisfied. Every act of cruelty digs his grave deeper. He is becoming the monster he always was. But now the world sees it. The sons are worse than the father. I study them carefully as they train in the yard. The elder is cruel but cautious. The younger, hot-blooded and stupid. They have no respect for the usurper now. They blame him for the sickness, the fear, the food shortages. I see them argue in corridors. The elder hisses about inheritance, about seizing control. The younger threatens him with a blade. Their father's allies watch this disunity with growing unease. I nurture it. When I sell wine to the steward, I let a single whisper slip. I heard the son's plan to flee. He turns pale. When I pass the armory, I leave behind scraps of parchment with forged notes hinting at betrayal. When the elder son drinks my wine, he wakes in night sweats, convinced his brother plots to kill him. Their fights turn to blows. The usurper beats them both in front of his men to reassert control. It only makes them hate him more. Soon they will turn on him completely, and I will be there to watch. They arrive at dawn. 6 in black, with silver masks and chain books. They claim to root out the evil cursing the keep. I smile as they chant in the courtyard, their prayers crawling like worms over the walls. They sense something wrong but cannot name it. Their leader questions me, peering through his mask. Merchant, your goods brought sickness. Explain. I bow deeply. I brought only sealed spices. I've been tested before. I even fell on myself. I show them forged wounds, the rash I conjured with nettle. They sniff and move on. They catch a maid instead, accusing her of witchcraft. She screams, pleads innocence. They burn her at dusk. Smoke coils into the storm-black sky. The usurper stands in the rain, watching her burn, thinking this will end the curse. I feel the witch's death feed the power in my sigils. Her fear becomes mine to use. I leave new marks that night, strengthened by her final scream. The keep is cracking, but it hasn't collapsed yet, and I will not rest until it does. The grand hall is silent save for the wind rattling shutters. The feast is canceled, but they gather anyway, huddled like cattle before slaughter. The usurper sits slumped, breathing raggedly. His sons glare at him from opposite ends of the table, fingers tight on knife hilts. I stand among servants at the walls, hood low. I watch. He tries to speak. Blood flecks his lips. Loyalty, he rasps. We must stand united. The elder son laughs. The younger curses. Arguments erupt. A knight accuses the steward of poisoning the food. A chamberlain sobs that demons haunt the keep. I whisper a curse, and the candles gutter, filling the room with choking smoke. Screams echo. Plates crash. Blades flash in panic. I slip out unseen. By the time order is restored, 3 are dead on the floor. The usurper slams his fist on the table, demanding executions for treachery. But his voice shakes. His eyes dart. He knows now there is no one left he can trust. Outside, thunder roars. I stand in the courtyard, rain pouring over me, arms wide. Do you feel it? I whisper to the night. Your end is coming. And the shadows whisper back. Yes. I walk the halls like a ghost in flesh. No one notices the merchant anymore. The servants avert their eyes. The guards patrol in twos, muttering prayers. I feel the power in the walls. My runes feed on terror. They pulse behind tapestries and carved beams, drinking every argument, every sob, every drop of blood spilled in paranoia. I pause before the great hearth, fingers brushing soot. My ancestors stir in my mind. Pleased. More, they whisper. Feed us more. I obey. I carve new sigils into the back of the fireplace where no one will see. I whisper curses old as the tomb. I bind the dying cook's last breath. The maid screams as she burned. Their agony becomes fuel. The hearth fire burns blue. The servants flee. I smile. Later, in the corridor, I pass the younger son, wild-eyed and furious. He has a dagger hidden in his sleeve. I don't stop him. I nod politely, because I know where he's going, and I want him to get there. Screams echo through the keep at dawn. I emerge from my room slowly, playing the curious outsider. Panic surges around me like a tide. In the courtyard they drag the younger son, face bloodied, eyes rolling with rage. The elder staggers behind, clutching a bandaged arm. He tried to kill me, the elder shrieks. The usurper is there, coughing, furious. He orders the younger chained to a post. He spits blood onto the cobbles. You dare raise steel against your own blood? The younger hisses curses, spit flying. He blames his brother for the sickness, for the deaths. The garrison watches in stunned silence. They don't see me among them, hood low, hiding my grin. When the usurper orders the younger flogged, the elder watches with cold satisfaction. The whip cracks. Blood sprays. The younger howls. The men turn away, sickened. Unity shatters before my eyes. I clutch the vial of poison in my pocket, fingering its weight. I don't even need it today. They're already killing themselves. At night the keep becomes mine. I roam halls slick with damp, my fingers leaving words no priest can cleanse. I pause before the usurper's chamber. Guards snore in chairs, wine bottles rolling on the floor. Fools. I slip between them like smoke. Inside, the usurper wheezes in bed. His skin is gray, his lips flecked with old blood. Candles gutter in drafts that shouldn't exist. I trace runes on the walls behind the drapes. I spit curses into the mattress. I draw the names of his ancestors in blood stolen from my own veins, forcing them to reject him. The air chills. Frost creeps across the floor. The usurper moans in fever dreams. I lean over him. I'm here, I whisper. He jerks awake, eyes wide, seeing nothing but shadow. He screams. I slip away before the guards rouse. Outside the door, I press a bloodied hand to the stones and say, remember this fear. The walls shiver in delight. The next day is chaos. The elder son refuses to speak to his father. The younger son lies half-conscious from flogging, cursing them all with swollen lips. The steward resigns in tears. Half the servants flee into the rain. The guards argue over unpaid wages. I feed the unrest. A whispered word here, a gold coin there, a letter forged in the elder son's hand suggesting parley with enemies. The garrison captain finds it, eyes bulging with rage. He confronts the elder at the practice yard. Blades are drawn. Blood spills on the mud. The usurper can't even rise from bed. He rages weakly at news of the duel, coughing blood into his sheets. His household fractures. I stand in the doorway of the great hall, watching it all with calm satisfaction. They turned my family's legacy into this ruin. Now they will drown in it. Rain pours for days without pause. The keep becomes a prison of whetstone and bad dreams. Guards desert in the night, taking horses and coin. Peasants refuse to send food, terrified of curses. The usurper grows skeletal, coughing blood onto his clothes. He raves about witches, traitors, the dead coming for him. He is not wrong. I stand in his chamber doorway at dusk. He doesn't even notice me at first. His eyes are glazed, face sunken. When he finally focuses, he screams for guards. They don't come. I walk slowly to his bedside. Who are you? He gasps, voice rattling. I lower my hood. Justice, I say. Vengeance. The heir you tried to burn alive. He weeps. I offer him the vial. Drink, or I'll make you suffer. He stares at it, hand shaking. Outside thunder rumbles. He takes it. He drinks. I watch his eyes roll back. His body convulses. When it ends, I close his eyes gently, not out of mercy, but because he doesn't deserve to see what comes next. The keep is silent, not the peace of rest, but the hush of something broken beyond repair. I stand in the doorway of the usurper's chamber, watching the body cool on blood-soaked sheets. His final breath was a wet rattle that still seems to echo, bouncing from cold walls carved with my sigils. No servants dare enter. They huddle downstairs, muttering prayers that sound like threats. I can almost hear their thoughts. Was it poison? Was it magic? Was it him? But they don't speak my name. Not yet. I walk inside, savoring the stink of death. The usurper's face is slack and pale, mouth open in a final, unanswered question. He died knowing it was me. That knowledge is a weight on the room itself, making the air feel like lead in my lungs. I trace my fingers over the canopy bed's carved wood. Once, my father lay here, before fire and betrayal, before screaming servants and falling timbers. I press my palm flat, feeling every groove in the old design. The whispers of my ancestors rise up in chorus. Well done, but not enough. They're right. Killing him is just the first blow. His sons remain. The house is broken but not buried. If I leave now, they'll fight each other for the ashes. They'll rebuild. My vengeance will be wasted. No, I want the name extinguished, the land salted, the songs forgotten. I want children born a century from now to ask, who were they? And hear only silence. I lean down, close enough to the usurper's dead ear to speak. Your line dies tonight. I straighten, looking once more around the room. The fire has died in the hearth. Shadows huddle in corners, watching me with greedy hunger. They wait for my orders. I give them gladly. Wake the keep. And the whispers slither off into the dark to obey. I descend from the usurper's chamber slowly, letting my boots strike the stone with deliberate weight. Each step is a warning, each creak and scrape of leather an omen. Below me, the hall is lit by dying firelight. Servants huddle in corners, eyes wide and white as peeled eggs. They smell it, the shift in the air, the hush that hangs after death. When I appear on the stair, they scatter like roaches. Some clutch old talismans. One sobs a prayer. Good. I don't hurry. Let them watch. Let them understand whose will now rules this cursed hall. I stop at the base of the stair, resting my hand on the newel carved with my family's crest, a wolf twisted to bear the usurper's mark. My fingers dig in, peeling splinters. The old sigil bleeds from beneath, the wood cracking. I laugh. The sound bounces in the vaulted chamber, thin and cruel. Bring me the sons, I call, voice echoing off black stone. No one moves. My eyes sweep the room. I see shapes in shadow, the old steward, the captain of the guard with his fraying cloak, the chamberlain wringing fat hands. I point. You, I say. The steward flinches. Fetch them, or I'll do it myself. He hesitates, then scuttles away like a whipped dog. I wait. I listen to the wind-clawed shutters, the creak of old doors swinging in drafts. The keep is alive with fear. My sigils glow softly in the gloom, tiny veins of pale fire in the walls. I feel them pulsing with power. My ancestors murmur approval in the hollow of my skull. We remember this hall. We built it with blood. Let it drink again. When the steward returns, the sons are with him, bound at the wrists, bruised, spitting curses. I smile at them like a patient parent about to teach a lesson in pain. Welcome home, I say, and the shadows shiver in delight. They stand before me, wrists bound with coarse rope that bites red into their flesh. The elder son glares with raw hatred, eyes bloodshot from sleepless nights and loss. The younger's face is bruised and swollen, his lips split from the guard's boot, but he spits curses at me all the same. I drink it in. Their rage, their fear. It feeds the old magic like blood on parched soil. Around us, the hall looms in cold silence. Only the fire pops and hisses, burning low and strange, flames guttering in shades of violet and green where my sigils leach the heat for themselves. The servants press against the walls, too terrified to flee, hands over mouths to muffle gasps. I pace before the sons, boots grinding soot into ancient tiles. You know who I am, I say softly. They do. I see it in the tightening of their jaws, the way they flinch as if struck. My family's name is a curse they've tried to scrub from memory, but it lives in them like a thorn. I lean in close to the elder, my voice barely a whisper. Did you think it would end with your father? He tries to spit in my face. I backhand him so hard his head snaps aside. The crack of it echoes. He snarls, blood on his teeth. The younger lunges forward despite his bindings, shouting obscenities. 2 guards hold him back, shaking in fear of both him and me. I turn to the watching servants. You, I call. A maid jumps. Her eyes are red-rimmed from weeping. Stoke the fire. She hesitates until I fix my gaze on her. Then she runs to obey, throwing dry wood onto the flames. They roar higher, illuminating the fear carved into every face in this hall. I smile. Tonight, I say to all of them, voice ringing, we end this bloodline. The fire crackles, hungry for sacrifice. And my ancestors sing in triumph. They scream as I drag them to the hearth. Their curses break into ragged pleas. I feel nothing but grim purpose as I force them to their knees before the fire. The elder son sobs dryly, cursing me between gasps, voice cracking as he begs the gods for mercy. The younger simply snarls like an animal, head snapping forward to try to bite my arm as I push him down. Their hate is almost admirable. Almost. I draw my dagger. The blade is old, the edge etched with runes I carved in blood. The metal drinks the firelight, hungry for more. The hall is silent but for the pop and hiss of the flames. The servants tremble. Some turn away, but none dare run. I press the blade to the elder's throat. He whimpers. I feel his pulse flutter like a dying bird against the steel. You took my family, I say, voice low and cold. You burned them alive. You laughed as they died. He tries to deny it, words falling apart on his tongue. I slice deep. His blood spills steaming onto the stones, hissing where it hits the fire. The smell is copper and iron and old sin. The younger howls, thrashing in his bonds. I turn to him. You watched them do it. You reveled in it. You thought yourself untouchable. He spits at me. The glob lands on my boot, red with blood. I nod. Good. Die with rage in your heart. The dagger falls. His scream cuts short in a wet gurgle. The fire roars higher, flames curling into monstrous shapes. I close my eyes and feel the keep itself shudder, old magic consuming the blood I've offered. This is the price. This is the payment. The line is ended. The hall is silent, but for the crackle of the fire devouring its grisly feast. The bodies lie crumpled at the hearth's edge, blood soaking into ancient grout that will never come clean. I lean on my dagger, breath ragged but steady. The scent of iron fills my lungs. My ancestors' whispers have faded into quiet satisfaction, their hunger sated for the first time in years. The servants stare at me in horror, wide-eyed, pressing back against the walls as if stone would swallow them up. None dares move. I straighten slowly, sheathing the dagger with deliberate care. The sound of metal scraping leather is as final as a coffin lid. Your lord is dead, I announce, voice echoing in the cavernous hall. His sons are dead. The line is ended. No one answers. I turn my gaze over them, one by one. Their faces are blank with shock and terror. Some weep silently. You are free, I say at last. That word hangs heavy. Free? Free to starve, to fight among themselves over scraps, to fear raiders and worse. I know what I've given them. Chaos. But it is better than the usurper's rule. Better than my mercy. I turn away from the hearth. The flames snap and twist, green tongues licking the soot-blackened stone. The shadows on the walls dance like devils in glee. I stride from the hall without looking back. My boots leave crimson prints that fade to black as they dry. Outside, the night wind is cold and clean. I lift my hood, feeling the rain begin to fall, washing blood from my skin. Behind me, the keep groans, settling like a dying beast. And I walk on, alone, but free. I leave the keep behind me as dawn bleeds slowly across the sky. The clouds are a dirty gray, heavy with the promise of rain that never cleanses. My boots are caked with mud and old blood. I feel hollow, not triumphant, not even satisfied. The wind bites at my cloak, snapping it like a banner of defeat. The ghosts of my ancestors are quieter now, their whispers fading to murmurs. Sated, perhaps, or bored. I glanced back once. The keep squats on the hill like a carcass picked clean. Smoke rises lazily from the main hall's chimney, but it's black and greasy. No welcoming hearth. No laughter or music. Just ruin. They'll tell stories of this night, I know. The servants who fled will spread my legend. The usurper who choked on poison. His sons cut down like swine at slaughter. The hall that bled shadows and whispered curses. I wonder how they'll describe me. Monster? Heir? Justice? I don't know anymore. I trudge on, my steps slow. The old road is cracked, grass pushing through. I know every mile ahead of me, every ruined milestone toppled in weeds. There is no welcome in the villages beyond. Only suspicion, fear. But I move forward anyway, because there is nothing left behind me but ashes. The wind gusts harder, driving cold needles through my clothes. My fingers ache. I clench them around my dagger hilt for warmth, but the metal is cold as gravestone. For the first time in years, I have no plan, no target. Revenge was my purpose. Now it is done, and I am lost. I set camp beneath a twisted oak, its branches bare and skeletal against the pale sky. The wind moans through them like a funeral choir. I build no fire. The smoke would draw attention, and I want solitude tonight. I eat stale bread from my satchel. Each bite is dry and bitter as old memory. I drink water that tastes of moss. As the sky darkens, I feel the cold settle into my bones. I draw my cloak tighter and stare at the road winding off into shadow. Who am I now? For years I carried my name like a blade. Heir. Avenger. Curse. It gave shape to my hate, honed it to a razor's edge. Now it's just a sound. Empty. I whisper it into the night. My name. It feels foreign on my tongue. Dead. The shadows lean closer as if to listen, but they offer no comfort. The voices of my ancestors have gone silent, their hunger sated. Without their guidance, I am just a man with blood on his hands. I wipe my dagger on the grass, though the stains will never truly come clean. The wind howls. I close my eyes and try to sleep. But sleep is a luxury for the innocent, and I am nothing of the sort. Morning is little more than a pale suggestion behind thick fog. I wake shivering, cloak heavy with dew. My limbs ache from the cold ground. I rise slowly, rolling my stiff shoulders. Every motion feels like penance. I sling my satchel and walk. The world is muffled in gray. Trees loom like giants with their heads in the clouds. The road vanishes 10 paces ahead. Even birdsong is absent, as if nature itself holds its breath. In this silence, memories come unbidden. My mother screaming as the flames took her. My father roaring defiance before he fell. The usurper's smug face as he claimed the seed of my blood. And now, his sons bleeding at my feet. The fog thickens. I see shapes that might be travelers or ghosts. One turns, and for a moment I see my younger self. Filthy, desperate, dagger clutched in white-knuckled terror. I blink and it's gone. I walk faster, but the memories keep pace. I thought vengeance would bury them. That blood would drown the past. Instead, it fertilized it. The fog curls around me like an old lover. It whispers that I am no different from the monster I killed. I ignore it, but it follows. By midday, the fog thins, revealing the old river. The bridge is broken, timbers rotted and collapsed into the rushing water. I stand on the bank, watching it churn. The current is strong, brown with silt and dead leaves. It reminds me of blood. I could ford it downstream where it widens and slows, but that would cost time. Time I no longer measure in days or seasons, but in memories I can't escape. I squat by the edge, cupping water in my palm. It's cold enough to numb my fingers. I splash it on my face, scrubbing at grime that feels permanent. The river doesn't care. It carries everything away: silt, branches, drowned animals. Why not me? I stand, swaying. For a moment I consider walking in, letting the current take me. It would be easy. No more dreams. No more voices. No more blood. But I step back. Because I'm a coward. Or because I'm not done yet. I turn south. following the bank until the ruins of an old fort appear, stones slick with moss, half submerged. I cross carefully, water dragging at my legs like pleading hands. When I reach the other side, I don't look back. Night falls before I find shelter. An abandoned hermit's hut squats in a clearing, roof sagging, walls green with mold. The door hangs from one hinge. I push inside, dagger drawn. The smell of rot and old smoke clings to the walls. A cold hearth chokes with ashes. I set my pack down and sit heavily. The silence is thick, but it is mine. No servants whispering. No ancestors hissing demands. No dying men cursing me. Just the wind pressing against the walls like the sigh of the world itself. I close my eyes and listen to my heartbeat. Slow, steady, alive. Why? The question turns in my mind like a blade. Not for revenge. That's done. Not for family. They're ash. Not for peace. I'll never have it. So why keep breathing? I have no answer. Outside, the wind howls through the trees. It sounds like laughter. Or maybe it's just the wind. I lie down on the hard floor, cloak wrapped tight. The cold presses in, familiar as guilt. Sleep doesn't come easily, but it comes. I wake before dawn, heart pounding, sweat cold on my neck. The dream still clings like wet cloth, flames devouring the keep. My mother screaming, her hair alight. My father roaring defiance as steel slid between his ribs. The usurper laughing over their corpses. But this time I saw my own face in the fire, grinning wide, dagger dripping red. I shudder and sit up, the hut creaking around me. The coals in the hearth are long dead, the air thick with damp. I rub my eyes, trying to scrub away the images burned into my skull. This is the price of vengeance. I killed them all. I ended a bloodline. But there is no satisfaction, no righteous glow. Only the certainty that I have become what I once fled. Outside, the wind is rising. It rattles the door on its hinge, keening like a soul denied rest. I stand slowly, bones creaking like old timbers. My pack waits in the corner, half empty. The dagger rests on top, stained dark even after cleaning. I pick it up and weigh it in my palm. The tool of my justice. My sin. I sheath it and shoulder the pack. Time to move. Because if I stay here, the ghosts will find me. And I am tired of listening to their screams. The forest thins as I walk, trees giving way to rolling hills browned by autumn. The grass crackles underfoot, brittle and dead. The road is little more than twin ruts in the soil, carved by generations of wagons that no longer pass. I walk alone. Above, clouds bruise the sky purple and gray. The wind bites at my cloak, tugging it like a beggar's hand. I keep my head down. I've no destination, no plan. I'm not fleeing pursuit. No one cares enough to chase me. The keep's survivors will claim what's left or abandon it. Let it rot. I try to imagine what comes next. Start a new life? A new name? Merchant? Beggar? Mercenary? It feels false. What does a man do when the thing that defined him is finished? My boots drag. I force them onward. One step, another. It's all I know how to do. I pass a milestone, worn smooth by wind and rain. The letters are gone, nothing left of the old kingdom's promise. I snort, a fitting monument to us all. I find a crossroads at dusk, marked by a leaning post from which the signs have long since fallen away. I study it. Left? Right? What difference does it make? The wind scours the empty land, whispering nonsense in my ears. I close my eyes and try to remember prayers I once learned as a child. My mother's voice guiding me through them. The rhythm of comfort. But the words are gone, replaced by curses. I laugh once. Harsh. Bitter. I pick a direction at random. The path is narrower, clogged with weeds, but it leads somewhere. Anywhere. The ancestors are silent. Their hunger sated, or perhaps they turned away in disgust. Good. I never needed them. I've made my own choices. All I have to do now is live with them. I see smoke as night falls, coiling above a ruined watchtower. Cautious, I approach with dagger ready. Inside, an old man sits by a pitiful fire, wrapped in patched furs. His beard is yellow with age, eyes pale but sharp. He watches me enter but doesn't flinch. "Another wanderer," he rasps. I nod slowly. "Another ghost." He snorts. "Plenty of those on these roads." I drop my pack and sit opposite him. The heat is weak, but welcome. He eyes me. "You're running." I say nothing. He gestures with a stick. "Running doesn't work. The things you've done, they'll find you. Even out here." I meet his gaze. I know. Silence. The fire cracks. Sparks drift like dying stars. "Then why keep going?" he asks. I don't answer. Because I don't know. We sit in silence as the fire dies to coals. The old man dozes, muttering in his sleep. Outside, the wind wails like something in mourning. I stare into the embers. My reflection stares back, twisted by the glow. I whisper my crimes to the dark. The poison, the curses, the screams, the blood on my hands. I tell it all, voice low and hoarse. No forgiveness waits. No priest to absolve me. Only the night. And it listens. The wind rattles the ruined tower. Ash drifts, pale as bone dust. When I finish, I feel no lighter, no cleaner. But the words are out. Spoken. Owned. I lean back against the cold stone, eyes closing. I will sleep. And in dreams, they will come for me. And I will face them. I wake to cold gray light seeping through the ruined tower's cracks. The old man is gone. Nothing left of him but ashes in the hearth and the faint smell of boiled roots. I stand slowly, my body stiff, the chills sinking into my bones like regret. The wind outside is gentle for once, brushing the grass in soft waves. I step into it, squinting at a sun hidden behind thick clouds. I've lived too long in night and storm. My hand falls to the dagger at my belt, its hilt worn smooth by countless grips. I draw it slowly, watching the edge catch dull light. I see my reflection, distorted and thin. A murderer, a curse in human shape, but no one is left to see it. I sheath it and turn south. Each step feels deliberate, heavy with choice. I could vanish into these lands, take another name, become a nobody in a town that doesn't ask questions. But the memory of my family's keep rises in my mind. Walls blackened with fire, halls echoing with screams. I can't forget. I shouldn't. So I walk on, carrying it with me, because someone must remember. By dusk I see a town huddled behind sagging palisades. Smoke curls from crooked chimneys. Dogs bark at travelers. No guards challenge me at the gate. Just a boy too small for the rusted spear he holds. I nod and pass him without a word. Inside, the street is mud churned by cartwheels and boots. Merchants pack away goods as lanterns flare to life, casting jaundiced light on pale faces. They watch me. They see the travel-worn cloak, the old scars, the way my hand never strays far from my belt. They know my kind. I pay for a room with coins still flecked in dried blood if one looks closely. The innkeeper doesn't. He hands me a key and a cup of watered ale. I drink in silence by the hearth, the fire crackling low. Laughter rises around me, forced and hollow. They drink to forget famine, plague, bandits. I drink to remember. I sleep lightly, dagger under my pillow. And in dreams, I stand in my ruined hall, the ghosts of my family silent at last. Watching. Morning finds me at the edge of town, watching carts head north, refugees with hollow eyes and too many children clinging to them. A priest prays at the gate, offering blessings to anyone with coin. He looks at me, hesitates, then raises a trembling hand. "Traveler," he calls. "Do you seek absolution?" I bark a laugh that sounds like a snarl. He flinches. "Forgiveness," I say, voice low. "Is that what you sell here?" He squares his shoulders. "It is what the gods offer." My eyes narrow. Do they listen? He falters, glances at my blade, at the scars that mark my face, my hands, at the blood he senses but cannot see. "They listen," he says finally, voice shaking. "But they do not always answer." I nod once. Fair enough. I walk on, leaving the town behind, because I'm not sure I want an answer. The land flattens as I travel. Wide plains, endless sky, wind that howls with nothing to break it. I walk alone, my cloak snapping at my heels. At night, I make small fires and stare into them until the flames blur, turning into faces I know too well. The Usurper, coughing blood. His sons, eyes wide with terror. My mother screaming my name. I don't look away. I let it burn me. I could lie. Say it was justice. Say they deserved it. Maybe they did. But so did I. I draw the dagger and press it to my palm until it bites. Blood wells up, hot and vivid. I let it drip into the dirt. A final offering. Not to my ancestors. Not to the gods. But to the memory of who I used to be. Who I will never be again. I clean the blade and sheath it. Then I stand, shoulders heavy, feet sore. And I keep walking, because there is nothing else left to do. The horizon is endless. I pause at a rise in the road, wind at my back, and look ahead. No keeps to conquer. No blood to spill. No ghosts to command. Only the road. I take a deep breath. The air is cold and smells of distant rain. It cuts clean through the rot that clings to me, though it doesn't wash it away. I touch the dagger one last time. I think about throwing it away, but I don't. It is part of me now, a relic of all I've done. A warning. The wind picks up, tugging at my hair, my clothes. It seems to push me forward, mocking or encouraging. I can't tell. I set my foot on the path. I am no one's heir, no one's curse, no one's justice. Just a man, broken, but breathing. I walk on, and behind me, the past finally lies quiet.